Okay, let's look at example number 6. So another soil classification problem, but this time we're going to use AASHTO instead of USCS. Uh, a little difference between AASHTO and the USCS is that for a USCS, you only need to have, technically, you only need two sieves, number 4 and number 200. But if you want to plot a very nice curve with more data points, you can throw in other sieves. But for AASHTO, you have to have at least three, number 10, number 40, and number 200. But of course, you would also need the Atterberg limit test. So we have 84% passing number 10, we have 71% passing number 40, and we have 64% passing number 200. And we know the LL is a 41 and the PL is 27, and you need to classify the soil based on all those information. So again, a couple minutes to work on the problem, and we'll be back in a couple minutes. Okay, so now we're back. Uh, so you don't really have to do too much here, but it's always a good idea to find, based on the LL is a 41 and the PL is 27. Just do a quick calculation of the PI. The plasticity index is 41 minus 27, which is 14. Keep all those numbers handy. And again, sometimes the problem will just give you the PL. Sometimes they will just give you the PI. So just make sure, uh, make sure don't confuse PI with PL. So that is super important. Uh, so with everything here, and we can go and find the AASHTO soil classification manual from the table from the reference book. So it reads a little bit different, and in my opinion, the AASHTO system is a little bit simpler to use. So first of all, take a look at the first row over here. Uh, do we have a granular material or do we have a silt clay material? And 35% is the magic number. And again, you would know number 0.075 sieve over here. It's kind of odd, the reference book put it that way, but you would know that 0.075 over here is actually 0.075 millimeter. So this is number 200C. So if you have 35% or less passing number 200, then we're talking about granular material based on AASHTO. And if you have more than 35% passing number 200C, then we're talking about silt and clay materials. And for our case, passing number 200 is 64%. So 64% is clearly more than 35%. So we're talking about a silt and clay material. So I'm just gonna do a check mark over here. So we check. And then we're gonna move on to the second row. We're gonna take a look at all those A4, A5, A6, or A7. And for those, the only thing is that we already used the number 200 sieve, so they're all good on this one. And we're gonna take a look at our liquid limit and the plasticity index, the PI, to determine which soil should be the soil. And first of all, let's take a look at the LL, the liquid limit. And our liquid limit is 41. And so this won't work, and this won't work, and only A5 and A7 would work. Then we're going to take a look at our PI, and we calculate our PI to be 14. PI is 14. This won't work, and this would work. So our soil would be either A75 or A76, and will be classified as clay soil. Then the next question is, what is it? Is it an A75 or is it A76? So we're going to go to this little footnote over here. that, let's see whether we would have a, sorry about that, it's a little bit glitch. So let's look at A5 and A6. Here, if I have to do a little bit calculation here, if it's A75, then your PI should be less than LL minus 30. If you are A76, your PI should be greater than LL minus 30. So if we can go back to our the problem over here, so a little bit glitch. So our LL is 41, so LL minus 30 is 41 minus 30, which is 11. So our PI is 14, so it's larger than 11. If you have a PI that is greater than LL minus 30, then we would check A76. So A76, D is the right answer. Okay. So, but of course, this one is pretty straightforward. It does not require you to calculate the GI, and but you should know how to calculate the GI as well. GI is a group index, and sometimes we put a little GI here just to further classify the soil, and the GI is always a round number. And so make sure you know how to use this equation to calculate GI. So everything is here, all these equations are here. The only thing I want to kind of point you guys to is this F value over here. So this F value is a percent passing number 200. Okay, so you have to use this as a whole number. So for example, if in this case you're asked to calculate the GI, and your GI would be your F would be 64 instead of 64%. So if you have the F as 64 and you have the LL is 41 and you have the PI is 14, this is 64, and then the number that you calculated based on the equation would be the group index for this one. And also, if your GI is less than 0, then you're going to go with the GI equals 0. So, okay, so that's pretty much about it for this one. And in general, classification using AASHTO system is pretty straightforward. So, okay, that's it.